Okay, do you want to start off, or do you want me to
Yep.
start off?
Hi everybody, we're here with Imrith. I'm Robyn. We're going to talk about this month's leaderboard, which is for April 2022. So it's been a pretty interesting month. We had the arrival of dynamic regulation, the new frequency response service. Imrith, take us through what else has been happening.
Yeah, of course. So first we'll look at some of the market conditions which have kind of shaped this month's leaderboard. So wholesale prices, things have calmed down a lot from winter, which kind of expected at this time of the year. There was a period.
We're going into the summer months now.
Yeah, exactly. So this is what the day-ahead hourly auction prices look from Nord Pool's exchange. We can see actually on the 17th that prices dropped quite low, around £1 per megawatt hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is quite interesting. So there may have been some opportunity there for some merchant trading.
So a bit of arbitrage. So we can see that we've got basically a zero price and then followed by £150. So quite a big spread.
And then looking at the BM, so yeah, BM activity has been pretty low over the last few months. It did pick up in December last year. This month is actually an increase from last month, but it's still only contributing to about 1% of fleet revenues.
Pretty low.
We can see on the third there we have about 3 assets which got paid around £250 per megawatt, which isn't bad. It's quite good. It was Red Sky and a few other assets. But yeah, generally BM activity once again still quite low between all assets.
Then we come on to DCDR clearing prices. So this is where things have got really interesting this month, and we can see there's a big spike at the end of this graph, which is these two new dynamic regulation high and low bars at the end of the graph in April.
So DR came online 9th of April, and we've seen clearing prices of around £30 per megawatt per hour. Which is quite high, but obviously the caveat to that is the volume being procured in that service is a lot lower compared to DC, as we expected. I think one of the cooler things this month is that DCL, the low dynamic containment low service, is still clearing at over £70 per megawatt hour, which, especially with all the changes to the auction design, etc., is still great revenues for asset owners at the moment.
Do you know if that's weighted quite heavily towards the beginning of the month, and it's been quite a lot lower on average in the end of the month?
Yeah, so I think that's obviously played a huge role, because there were instances of, for example, on the 5th and 6th of the month where we saw the average clearing price across the whole day being around £80 per megawatt per hour, which is obviously heavily influencing, I guess, the average across the month. But generally, I think it's fair to say that revenues have been not as low as maybe some people would expect.
Okay, so like the few instances of £1 or £2 on average is actually been much higher than that in DC low.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And then the last thing to look at is FFR, which is obviously still playing a huge role in the revenue stack at the moment for batteries. FFR revenues seem to have dropped a bit lower from maybe some of the revenues we saw in December and January, for example. So, for example, when we look at EFA Block 5 and 6 there were cases where assets were getting paid £43 per megawatt per hour a few months ago, and that's dropped to around £25 per megawatt hour, which is still a very reasonable price.
I mean, given the opportunity cost in the winter, all of those huge wholesale spreads we were seeing, and the triad opportunity cost, we would expect those EFA 5 and 6 FFR prices to come down, but they're still really quite strong.
Yeah, exactly, and especially considering the volatility in DC at the moment and DR, being able to lock a price in for one EFA block, or how many given EFA blocks an asset gets accepted for, I think it's really good value in FFR at the moment still, which is awesome.